All right, help is on the way for the New Orleans Saints, but is it too little, too late at this point in the season when the Saints are sitting at 2-5? The Buccaneers losing on Monday Night Football did help their chances at still salvaging their season and possibly making the playoffs. Also, the Falcons getting blown out by the Seahawks obviously helped as well, right? So technically, the season isn't dead for the Saints, but let's be honest. I don't have to say the quiet part out loud, right? Um, so help is on the way, right? But first, a couple little nuggets I want to get through here. Let me switch this screen over. So let's see here. DA said Rattler will start if Carr can't play. So a lot of people kind of expected maybe Jake Hayner to start because, again, at the end of the game against the Denver Broncos on Thursday night, Jake Hayner came in and led the only Saints touchdown drive of the night, and he looked pretty good doing it. Granted, it was in garbage time, but I did think he showed some things that showed that he recognized what's going on the field and knew how to exploit the defense. So a little bit kind of surprising, but not really surprising. Now, I will say this: this kind of does worry me a little bit, and I'll tell you why. So, Spencer Rattler obviously has the higher ceiling than Jake Hayner, right? Jake Hayner right now has the higher floor, right? Jake Hayner could probably come in and operate the offense better than Spencer Rattler. He could probably change protections, get you in and out of things. Again, hit the void in the defense when they send a blitz. He could probably operate the offense better right now than Spencer Rattler. So the Saints and Dennis Allen continuing to start Spencer Rattler, I have no problem with it because again, I think he has a higher ceiling, and I think that you need to put him on the field to see what he could possibly do, to see whether or not you need to be in the market for drafting or signing a quarterback or whatever, right? Once you eventually move on from Derek Carr or even in this offseason. So what worries me is Spencer Rattler, like I said, starting him is obviously they're scouting for the future, right? And it worries me because I don't know, that kinda gives me the feeling that Dennis Allen maybe knows something we don't know in terms of his job security, right? Like, I feel like if he truly felt pressure, felt like he was on the hot seat and needed to win now, I think he would bring in Jake Haener to start. I really do, because again, I think Haener would operate this offense more efficiently right now and probably give you a little less boneheaded plays than what Rattler has given you so far. So my only issue with Rattler continuing to get the start is it kind of worries me that DA knows that he's safe no matter what. Because again, if not, I feel like if DA was truly trying to win now, save his job, he would put Hayner in. That's just me. That's just my personal belief on the situation. But I could be, way out of line there. So Rattler, if Carr can't play, he's going to start against the Chargers. Another thing, Dennis Allen was on the WWL coaches show, and there were some good little nuggets here. Catherine Terrell put this thread together on Twitter. So it says Bobby pointed out that there wasn't that many injuries on the defensive side of the ball outside of Pete Werner. They're talking about the defense being horrible despite not having many injuries, at least compared to the offense. And Dennis Allen said, "I think all of us are disappointed at how we played defensively. It hasn't been accessible. We all understand that. Acceptable. We all understand that." So first of all, shout out to Bobby for actually putting this out there. Like the injury excuse is fine if you want to go the offensive route, but the defensive route has been relatively healthy most of the year, at least up until this point, right? And so I'm glad somebody finally called it out. Like, dude, like the only person that was missing was Pete Werner and Will Harris, a safety. Like obviously Pete Werner is a really good player, but he's not like the player that you take him out and your defense shouldn't just fall apart, right? So I'm glad somebody actually put that out there in front of Dennis Allen. And then Da goes on to say that the team has shown it can play good defense, and he's talking about the early part of the season, and that gives him confidence that they can get back to playing that type of defense. So yeah, I mean the team has shown that they can play good defense, but there's a problem with that. Like that was their he's talking about in the season, but you were playing the Dallas Cowboys and you were playing the um, horrendous Carolina Panthers. So I mean, is that really something to stake your like is that really something to that is going to give you that much belief playing good defense against those teams? I don't know. And then against the Eagles, they weren't bad on defense, but yeah, they kind of were, right? Like the run defense, that's when really we started to see the problems that the run defense had against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I understand what he's saying. Like, yes, they did look good earlier in the season, but you got to take into account it was against the worst team in football and the Dallas Cowboys, who have been blown out several times since being blown out against the New Orleans Saints. So, yeah, I don't know about that one. And then he says, DA said he thinks Derek Carr is making progress. All we can do is try to continue to move forward with that. That's nothing new. We knew that. So, and then Bobby also said here that several players have gotten old overnight, and he had mentioned Demario Davis, Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, specifically Cam Jordan and Demario Davis. Da said there's 11 guys that are out there. Takes all 11. I hate to look at anyone in particular and point out these individuals. So I actually like this answer by Dennis Allen. Um, for once, he's not throwing somebody under the bus. He's saying, look, collectively as a group, we have got to play better. He's not singling out the old veterans, which I like it. I respect it. Those guys have done a lot for the Saints organization. There's no point in throwing them under the bus or pointing out that they're getting older because it happens to everybody, right? Then he goes on to talk about Adbo. He says Adbo will be a tough loss. Taylor will play more on the outside along with Kool-Aid McKinstry. So basically, in base looks, it'll be the starting cornerbacks will be Lattimore on one side and Alante Taylor on the outside on the other side. Now that's when they have three linebackers in the game. The Saints play most of the time in nickel, so when they go nickel, Taylor will move back out in the slot, and then Kool-Aid will come in and play on the outside. So that's to be expected, right? Alontae Taylor played on the outside his rookie year, and he was pretty dang good at it. So no problems there whatsoever. Here he's talking about Kendre Miller. He says, DA said they want to get Kendre Miller more involved. I think for him, it's some of the other things, the protection, the route definition. Those are things he needs to improve. So this is interesting because um, he had a run against the Broncos, an explosive run, and then we didn't see him again for a while. And I think this pretty much tells you what you need to know, right? Like everybody knows Kendre Miller has the ability on the field, right? He has the skill set, but for him, it's about staying healthy and it's about the other things, learning the protections, learning like DA said, the route definition, basically learning everything outside of the offense that doesn't have to do with running the ball, if that makes sense. So what can you say about that? And then Bobby said Chase Young can rush the passer, but gets knocked 4 or 5 yards off the ball. Da said they're not controlling the line of scrimmage on either side, which used to be a strength earlier in the season, but now it's not. Da has mentioned getting back to the fundamentals at least 5 times, and getting back to the fundamentals has become the new keep chopping for Da. Da loves talking about getting back to the fundamentals, and it's concerning because Dennis Allen has been the defensive coordinator on this team for what is it like 8 years now, 6, 7, 9 years now, like, and again, like most of these guys playing right now, or at least the majority of them, they've been in this system a couple years now, 2, 3, 4 more years. So the fact that we're talking about getting back to the fundamentals, it's just it's concerning, man. Like we're in the middle of a season, like the season actually isn't even halfway over, and we're already talking about having to get back to the fundamentals. Um, and this is where he talks about Jay Kendre. He said Jay Kendre did a really nice job at the end of the game. He said when you're talking about young quarterbacks, they both need as many reps as possible to be effective, which is you're not going to a system where they play both essentially. So again, not groundbreaking news here. Young quarterbacks need reps to get better. And then he says, DA said Rattler has done some nice things. The supporting cast around him needs to help him out. And I think he needs to continue to improve understanding when you're going to be hot. Don't take a bad play and make a bad play worse. And this is like spot on. This is 100% a spot on evaluation from Spencer Rattler. When the protection holds up, he's looked good. He's made some nice throws. Um, and also, the supporting cast around him needs to help him out. They need to catch the ball. They need to catch the ball for the receiving core, and they need to block better for him. And then he says, I think he needs to continue to improve, understanding when you're going to be hot. This is a huge one for him. He's looked, to be honest, clueless against the blitz right now. Understanding when you're hot basically just means like understand when the defense is bringing a guy that you're not accounting for in the blocking scheme. And it says, don't take a bad play and make it worse. We've seen him do that a couple times. Um, and then he says, DA said he thinks there is a good chance they'll get a few guys back this week to help the supporting cast around Rattler and give him some better opportunities. And that is going to bring me back to, let me head back over to my bookmarks here. Um, right here. So Nick Underhill says, good injury news on the way. Taysom, Cesar Ruiz, Pete Werner, and Chris Olave could all be back this week. Lucas Patrick should definitely be back after being active. Last week, he was obviously active, but didn't play. So this is huge, right? The Saints have been so freaking banged up, man, like on a ridiculous level. And, getting Taysom back, obviously we have seen the offense with Taysom and without Taysom, and it is not even it's like it's insane how different the two look, with him on the field and with him not on the field. Obviously getting Cesar Ruiz back, huge because Landon Young, he's been horrible. He's been horrible. And Cesar Ruiz, to be honest, hasn't looked great this year when he's been in, but he is like, oh my god, such an upgrade from Landon Young, and getting him back should help in the run game tremendously. He's way more athletic. He can get to linebackers at second level, make all the blocks you need. And then Pete Werner on defense. Defense obviously needs all the help they can get right now, especially stopping the run. Pete Werner, athletic linebacker, he can help with that. Chris Olave, getting him back in the injury, or getting him back on the field after his concussion. That's huge. Is an understatement because you simply can't win games when you got a rookie quarterback throwing to um, Mason Tipton and Cedric Wilson. You just can't win football games like that. So getting Olave back, getting Lucas Patrick back, who was also a starter to start the year, it's looking better. Like brighter days look like they're ahead for the Saints. I just don't know if they're going to be bright enough again because mostly because of the defensive side of the ball. And here from Jeff Duncan, you can see it says entering week 8, the Saints NFL rankings, total offense, which is just yards per game, they're at 21. Scoring offense, which is points per game, they're at number 11, which not bad, but it's probably skewed from the first couple of weeks. It obviously is actually. Total defense, they're number 32. So they're last in the league. They give up the most yards per game in the league. And scoring defense, number 26, they give up 25.7 points per game, which again is ranked 26th in the league. What am I missing here? Okay, so I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet already, but Marquez Valdez-Scantling agreed to sign with the Saints per source. You lose Rashid Shaheed for the year. You need all the help you can get, right? It's the middle of the year. This is the best you can do at this point in time. So yeah, the schedule of head ahead, excuse me. The Saints are playing the Los Angeles Chargers, who just lost to the Arizona Cardinals last night. So they're not exactly a good team, right? The Chargers. I think they're well coached team. Their OC. The only problem I see potentially for the Saints um, is their OC is a really good offensive coordinator when it comes to designing a run game. And what do we know the Saints can't do? Stop the run. J.K. Dobbins has looked good this year. They've essentially turned Justin Herbert into the new generation Alex Smith, which is kind of insane considering the physical tools that Justin Herbert has. But hey, whatever floats their boat. They're a running football team. They're going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And the Saints better be ready to go, man. They better be ready to go. They have had they'll have 10 days when it comes to Sunday to get prepared, get healed up, refresh a little bit, reset because they're going to need it. They're going to need to stop the run, or it could be another long day against the San Diego Chargers, against the Los Angeles Chargers, because again they're going to pound the rock, and the Saints can't stop them. The Chargers aren't going to stop either. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.